if you're a Houston Texans fan, let's just be honest. I know a lot of you guys aren't going to like this. Listen, your offense is straight Dookie. Your offensive line play is flat out abysmal. It's a tragedy what has happened to CJ Stroud this year. CJ Stroud is in a slump because, first of all, your offensive line can't give the brother more than a nanosecond to throw the football. He got sacked 4 times today against the Miami Dolphins. Not only was the pass protection garbage, but your run blocking was just as bad. Joe Mixon had 12 carries for 23 rushing yards and averaged 1.9 yards per attempt. I've watched every single snap of the Houston Texans this year because I have Tank Dell and I have Joe Mixon on my fantasy football team. And you couldn't imagine how frustrating it was the first week of the fantasy playoffs that Joe Mixon was held to only 10 fantasy points because this dog-water offensive line couldn't give him any holes to run through. And with how bad the offensive line is, you're going to have a hard time being able to win your next 2 games against Kansas City and against the Baltimore Ravens. You're not going to go far in the playoffs with just saying that our defense is going to be able to bail us out. You want to know something funny? The Houston Texans had 4 takeaways in this game, and yet they only had 20 points to show for it. They had 5 turnovers against the Detroit Lions and still lost. Normally, when you have this many takeaways and you're dominating the turnover margin, you normally end up winning by at least 2 possessions. But the Texans can't do that because they can't capitalize off those takeaways because their offense is just so bad. The offensive line, not only is that bad, but the play calling out of Bobby Sloyd, that's been bad as well. I'm not saying that CJ Stroud isn't responsible for the Texans' struggles offensively. He definitely is having a slump. We can keep it real about it. You feel me? But I still believe that CJ Stroud is a capable quarterback. I still believe that he can lead the Texans to a Super Bowl, just not this season, because you don't have the guys up front in order to do so. And Patrick Mahomes is the only quarterback that's been able to survive not having good offensive line play because his offensive tackles are the main root of the bad old line play. At least he has a good center and 2 really good offensive guards. You have none of that. Your offensive tackles are terrible. Outside the Laramie Tunsil at left tackle, that's about it. Your guard play is atrocious, and that's why you can't open up any lanes in the run game, and you're going to be hard-pressed to have success running the ball against Baltimore, who has one of the best run defense in the NFL. Same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, you won a division, cool. But the way that you are winning games, just relying on your defense to have 3-4 takeaways is not sustainable to winning football, especially come playoff time. Y'all think that I'm hating on this team. Well, y'all seem to forget that this team was my preseason pick to win the AFC because I thought that the offensive line was going to be better. Y'all were the same people who were selling me on Kenyon Green with him coming into another season. He could take a massive leap in improvement. This offensive line fucking sucks. And that's why you're not going to go anywhere because you can't win up front. That's why your quarterback has been so erratic this year because he doesn't trust the offensive line to give him enough time to throw the football, so he's rushing decisions. That's why he's overthinking everything. And how could you not overthink anything when you got 350-pound defensive tackles cramming down your skull damn near every single time you drop back? CJ Stroud has been one of the most hit and one of the most sacked quarterbacks this year. Eventually, those hits add up. And not only do they affect your quarterback mentally, but they also affect him physically. I don't know how much longer CJ Stroud is going to be able to hold up without suffering a major injury. Not trying to predict any injuries, but I mean, come on now. The dude is getting clobbered back there. Your offense is Dookie right now. You got outgained 224 to 181 by Miami, despite having 4 takeaways. How does that happen? Normally, when you dominate in the turnover department, you're blowing teams out. You can't blow teams out because you don't win on the line of scrimmage. This offense is flat out atrocious, and it's embarrassing. This may be the worst offense out of any team that's going to be in the playoffs. Every team that's in the playoffs this year has a functional offense. The Ravens, the Steelers, even somewhat the Chiefs to some capacity. You know, you're the only team that is winning based off defense primarily. And it's a struggle for you to get the 20 points. If the Texans find themselves in a ball game where they get down early and it's 27-10, 27-13, they're going to be in trouble because they got to be able to throw themselves back into the game to win, and they can't do that because they don't have the offensive line up front to give them the protection needed for C.J. Stroud to go to work. You also can't give Joe Mixon no running room. At this point, I'm wondering if I should even keep starting Joe Mixon. The only time Joe Mixon gets some big plays is when he just makes 2 or 3 guys miss because he's one of the more physical backs in the league. The Texans offense is going to be their downfall this year, and it's why they're going to be an early one and done come playoff time. I'm not hating. This is me just being truthful. And if you're a Texans fan, I don't see how you can watch these games and still feel confident that you could beat the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Buffalo Bills in the postseason. Are you freaking insane? All 3 of those teams have incredible pass rushers. They got really good defensive lines. You got a great defense. You got a championship caliber defense, but you don't have a championship caliber offense because you can't win the line of scrimmage.